This is the Development Services section of the Coordinated Committee meeting. Deputations, petitions, presentations, and public meetings, we have none. Unfinished business, I did have an item on here I wanted to talk to Doug about was what's happening with the shipping containers. Oh, here he is. Perfect time to say. Sit right down there, Doug. Yeah. We're just in the unfinished business section, and I just wondered if you could give us an update on the shipping containers. What's happening down there?
The shipping containers is the, this is beach area 1
Yeah.
or the overall shipping containers?
No, the beach area one.
So I had a discussion with the manager of bylaw just a few days ago to inform myself on the activities down in the shipping containers. So a quick review of the history. The site plan agreement for the shipping containers has been executed by both the owner and the town. It's been registered on title. The owner still has some work to do on the containers themselves. There is the exterior cladding that has not yet been installed. My understanding with discussions with the Chief Bylaw Officer is that there has been physical work being done to the containers. They've installed, I think, glass doors, like the front glass doors, on some of the containers. I cannot confirm that all of them. I haven't been on site myself. I'm advised that the owner may be using the containers to store materials, and he may be using them, taking the materials outside and setting up a retail operation. I've advised the Chief Bylaw Officer that until site plan approval has been fully complied with, planning would not be willing to sign off on a business license.
Any comments around the table? So, right now he can't, do you know if he's any rented at this point?
I apologize, I'm not able to advise the committee on the level of the business detail that is occurring. I haven't had any direct discussions with Mr. Vidanovsky since we signed the site plan control agreement.
Councilor Bray?
Through you to Doug. There's 10 or 12 or however many containers. Will each vendor be required to apply for a business license, or will the site be licensed to operate kiosk businesses?
There are a total of 10 shipping containers. 7 of them front onto Main Street and 3 of them front onto Beach Drive. I apologize again, I'm not familiar with our business licensing bylaw. I would have to rely on the Chief Bylaw Officer to answer that question.
Or perhaps the CEO?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick answer to that. Yes, the individual businesses will be required to obtain a business license.
And they can't really apply for one until the kiosks are or the containers are finished.
So, if I may, Madam Chair, yes. So the kiosks need to be finished, and then because they're subject to a building permit, there would be the occupancy review, there would be the occupancy permit, and then once they're deemed appropriate to be occupied, then they can apply for a business license.
So short term, to maybe help those vendors who've invested in the summer, could they use the hopper and peddler license to at least get into the business and start selling if there's a construction delay?
Who's the best one to answer that?
Madam Chair, just on that, again, I think just in conversation that I've had with Mr. Vidanovsky, certainly he's working hard to finish up the containers. He was describing to me the facade is being finalized. That should be up fairly soon. He did the water and sewer connections, that's all done. So he's working hard, and my anticipation is that he will be in a position to get occupancy, and then they would follow the normal process. There's nothing to say that any interested tenant couldn't apply for a business license and get the ball rolling now, so that things kind of happen bang bang right after occupancy is granted.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Just a comment that site plans and things are put in place for a reason, for safety reasons, all of those things. So until all of those requirements have been met, I don't think anybody should be operating anything out of those buildings.
Thank Thank you for the update, Doug. I just wanted to know what the status was. Perhaps for the next meeting you can give us an update of what is going on down there. And we don't have a certain time limit, obviously, that we gave them to have them finished and complete. We do?
Certainly, I will follow up with Mr. Vidanovsky and try to ascertain a project timeline that we might put in place to finish those buildings.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So we will go on, there's no other agency reports. We'll go on to the consent agenda. We have had several things pulled from the consent agenda. Mayor has pulled C number 3, application for phase 3 subdivision agreement. Bay Cliff Homes, Village is above Wasaga. The deputy mayor has pulled the Public Works Engineering Technologist Development Project. That's it. I'm sorry, I was adding the other ones for the next meeting. So, with the exception of those, we just have a motion.
Sorry, Madam Chair.
Yes.
I believe I also asked to have
Oh, sorry. Yes.
respect to Public Works Engineering Technologist Development Project Status Report pulled as well.
Okay. Yeah. So we do have also Brian and, the mayor and Councillor Belanger requests for lift holding bylaw Bay Cliff Homes as well. I didn't read that one yet, did I? No. Okay, so the Public Works
Yes.
Engineering Technologist was also pulled by the engineer. Okay, so, a motion to accept these. All recommendations be adopted. Yeah, okay. So, motion on the floor then is resolve the Development Services section of Coordinated Committee hereby receives the June 8th, 2017 consent agenda items 5.1 through 5.4.3, and that all of the recommendations contained therein be adopted as amended.
Committee, having heard the question, I'll call for the vote. Councillor Belanger.
In favor?
Deputy Mayor Michaelchi.
In favor?
Councillor Bray.
In favor?
Councillor Ego.
In favor?
Mayor Smith.
In favor?
Councillor Stockwell.
Favor.
Chair Smith.
Thank you.
Thank you. The motion carries on a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you. So we will go through the polled agenda. Sorry.
Yes, I'd just like to make a request that the whole age of the Bay Cliff Homes be left till last. I was contacted by some residents that wanted to hear the update. That's why I pulled the item from Mike and our Director of Planning. So I thought we started at 11, so if we leave that till the end, they'll likely be here.
So that would be the request for lifting holding H bylaw Bay Cliff Homes, Villas of Upper Wasaga, Phase 2, Pearl Street, Academy Road. Was that correct? As around the table, was everyone satisfied we put this at the end of this meeting?
Thank you.
We'll move on then to the Public Works Engineering Technologist Development Project Status Report. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed one. Here. Application for Phase 3 subdivision agreement. Do you want that held as well, Councillor Belanger?
No, just one.
If I may, Madam Chair, I pulled that. You might as well wait as well till the end
Okay.
for that if everyone's going to agree with it.
Any objection?
At the end.
So So we'll move along to the Public Works Engineering Technologist Development Project Status Report dated May 26, 2017. Deputy Mayor and the Mayor pulled this, so I'll go with the Mayor first and just the Mayor.
Sure. You get to go first.
Oh, go ahead.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't
Okay.
matter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This was through you to staff. This is about the Beaver Run Estate condos. This is a condominium project that has been here for a long time. And in my opinion, the developer in this case has never ever finished what he started and has not been forthcoming in maintaining a lot of the areas in this subdivision. I've heard from several of the residents here. Doug and I actually, I guess about a year ago, Doug, just sat down with Mr. With the developer, and at that time he indicated that he would begin to start moving forward, and I think Doug has probably heard that story many times over the years. And I think we're at a point here, Madam Chair, where perhaps a report should come to this to committee, and that we can get a full update on this. And I think it's time that we start to perhaps play a little hardball with this gentleman to get him to move forward, to at least do what he should have done a long time ago with respect to drainage, so on and so forth. And those are my comments. Thank you.
Do you want Deputy Mayor or Chief?
I had a question with regard to the Rona. I know last month staff was meeting with them and trying to work through things to get them to adhere to the site plan, and I'm just wondering where we're at with that now.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The agreements, staff met with the owner of the former Rona, now Council Bildal, and the manager as well. We've reviewed the securities that are required in order to finalize the site control agreements. There are two agreements, one for the main store property and the second agreement for the property between the store and the river. Rona has provided those securities. We've received them. We have forwarded the agreements to the mayor and clerk for signature and registration. So there has been significant advancement on that file.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just to the mayor's point, do we want to have a report come back? What's your recommendation regarding that from
That was my
staff?
request, Madam
Sorry,
Chair.
yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to be recorded in the minutes, and I know staff are working on that. The manager of engineering, our treasurer, myself, we've met to talk about the particular development. So I think we're in a position to bring the report forward. So probably for the July coordinated committee, we'll have a report.
Moving on to, that's it. So the only thing we have is the two that we held back.
Right, Madam Chair, if I may, could that report also have some recommendations in it as to how council or committee should proceed to ensure that we're enforcing the fact that this developer needs to uphold his end of the agreement and move this forward, so this doesn't continue to be kicked down the road forever?
Thank you. So, Madam Chair, just to bring the committee up to date, from our meeting that we had that I just mentioned, we're going to be asking to meet with the 3 condo corp presidents, and just to get everybody up to date in terms of where we're at with things. And then we've asked for a meeting with the developer. So staff's goal is also to have this finally dealt with. So we may be in a position at the July meeting to make a series of recommendations to bring this to a resolution. That would be the goal. This project has been around for a long time, and from staff's perspective, we want to bring it to a close.
Yeah, it is. So, all right, I have a motion to resolve that the development services, it's moved by Councillor Bray, seconded by Councillor Belanger, that Development Services Section of Coordinated Committee receives the Public Works Engineering Project Status Report dated May 26, 2017 for information.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Committee members, having heard the question, I'll call for the vote. Councillor Belanger.
In favor?
Deputy Mayor Byfolchi.
In favor?
Councillor Bray.
In favor?
Councillor Eagle.
In favor.
Mayor Smith.
In favor?
Councillor Stockwell.
Favor.
Chair Smith.
In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries on a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed.
I guess the only two left are the ones regarding Bay Cliff Homes. And
I'm okay, so we're not 10 minutes.
carry on? Yeah, yeah. So unfortunately, we're just gonna
Yeah,
go.
that's all right, just carry on, but we can, if you do the second one first, if they don't show up, they must not be that concerned.
Okay, so you're asking that we do number 3, application for phase 3 subdivision agreement. That was only pulled by the mayor. On Bay Cliff Homes Village is Barbara Wasaga registered plan 51M-1028, part lots 1 and 2, concession 14. Your worship.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. It was basically just to indicate that with now moving forward with phase 3, as I understood from our past meetings and the concern with respect to the second entrance in and out and the bridge, that if we're moving forward with phase 3, that's going to be at top of mind and start to move forward. I just want to be clear on that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Madam Chair. The past discussion we had last month was to ask the developer to provide a letter of undertaking stating that he would be willing to confirm that a second access to Morgan Road would be installed as soon as possible. In staff's opinion, the owner, the developer, has gone one better and actually submitted applications requesting that permissions to secure and finalize the Phase 3 subdivision agreement, which itself contains the requirement of building a bridge and also building the road down to Morgan Road, which would be the second access. In addition to that, the developer, my understanding is the plans, the design plans for the bridge have been prepared, at least the first set of designs, and the developer has asked his engineer to prepare a request for proposal to secure a contractor to actually build the bridge. So from staff's opinion, the developer has gone significantly beyond a simple letter of undertaking, which has no substance in terms of registration against title, and actually made application to secure the formal permits to build the bridge. And I would add as well that Mr. Sarah Bellisingham is in the audience, who represents the developer, and the town engineer, Mike is here as well. He's been actively involved in discussions with the developer and the developer's contractors and consultants.
So there was some concern from the residents in phase 1 about the traffic and everything. And I was just wondering, when we were doing the development, the new development of 92, phase Baywood Homes, we had asked, I think, that the phase before be finished, before we would let them go on any further phases. So I was going to ask that question as well, as if there is there something that I think they were going to commit to having it done except for the road and the traffic to the construction site. So how far do we want to go before phase 1 is finished before they start phase 2? That's my question.
The development at Baycliff is not completely apples to apples with the development at Baywood Homes. Part of the rationale for holding up Baywood Homes going on to the second phase was there was a financing issue the company was undergoing, and the town wanted to be sure that before there was further commitment to construction that the first phase was completed, knowing that there was a financing issue. With the Baycliff Homes project, the property, to our every understanding, is very financially viable. The developer has sold out phase 2 completely and is moving very quickly to begin construction on phase 2 to honor occupancy that is in part of the purchase and sale agreements. And the phase 3 is a necessary component in order to secure that second access to phase 1 and phase 2 currently. So from a staff point of view, we do not have the same concern that we had with Baywood Homes, that the residents would not be well served going forward. What we can say, and this is in direct response to the comment in terms of should we be moving ahead with phase 2 based on phase 1 not being complete. From a staff point of view, the work is progressing at a very rapid pace. We don't have the same concern that phase 1 or phase 2 will be left in a semi-completed state. We do have securities for both phase 1 and for phase 2, which are currently under construction, to ensure that whatever works are not completed in a timely fashion, and there is a reasonableness to the statement of timely fashion that the town can rely on those securities. And the same would be true going forward with phase 3.
Thank you. Any other questions on this matter? So I have a motion before us that, make sure I've got the right one. No, that's the H. This is this one. Okay. Moved by Councillor Stockwell, seconded by Councillor Belanger. Resolved that Development Services Section and Coordinated Committee recommend Council authorize the execution of an amending subdivision agreement by the Mayor and Clerk for Phase 3 of the Villages of Upper Wasaga Planted Subdivision, subject to the owner, 1556614 Ontario Limited, Baycliff Homes Limited, signing the agreement and submitting required securities to the satisfaction of the town of Wasaga Beach.
Members of the committee, having heard the question, I'll call for the vote. Councillor Belanger.
In favor?
Deputy Mayor Blythe-Bolchy.
In favor?
Councillor Bray.
In favor?
Councillor Ego.
In favor?
Mayor Smith.
In favor?
Councillor Stockwell.
In favor.
Chair Smith.
In favor.
Thank you. The motion carries on a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed.
Okay. So, so we'll go back to the number 2, request for withholding H, bylaw Baycliff Homes, Village of Upper Wasaga, Phase 2, Pearl Street, Academy Road, Z04/17. And the mayor and Mr. Belanger brought this up.
Madam Chair, my questions have been answered, so I'll withdraw my point of order.
Okay, I had expected some, I think they just arrived. So, for the sake of, a resident had been back in contact with me, and although there's been some improvement, I guess there was some confusion on communication. I met with our director of planning, and he suggested that I direct the residents to talk to his department to find out updates of what's transpired so far and what's planned in the future related to the residents' concerns. But being Mike and Kevin are here, maybe we could just get a quick recap of what has transpired up until now, and then if I think if Frank has any concerns that I don't know if he can comment or not, or I'll comment on their behalf.
Well, perhaps I could give a quick summary of some of the issues that were discussed at the last committee. The residents had concerns about construction activity in front of their homes on Pearl Street. There was concerns of dust, concerns of garbage strewn about the entire work site along the tree's edge, and construction waste material around the homes under construction, concerns about dust on the road, and concerns about a significant amount of ponding behind the houses that front onto Middleton Drive. So perhaps Mr. Pinzero can give us an update on improvements and continued works that we're working with the developer on each of those topics.
Sure. Through you, Madam Chair. So shortly after those discussions, I had discussions with the Bay Cliff engineer, and being as he's on site regularly, we've asked him to kind of be the eyes and ears out there on a day-to-day basis to keep on top of the typical wind-blown debris from wrappers and whatnot, construction debris. So that has all been tidied up by the laborers. In terms of mud tracking and dust, they are scraping daily, and weekly they'll sweep the streets. I was actually having a chat with Sarah just before this meeting, and he's agreed that even in some cases, some places, they'll have to scrape twice a day. What's happening is because there's so much construction activity happening at once in phase one, they're building on so many houses at the same time, there's so many different trades in there, that there's vehicles coming in and out of many lots at the same time. So mud tracking is happening frequently, so the scraping is the big thing to get rid of the larger mud tracking and regular sweeping. So they've been on top of that. We've had staff going out regularly just to make sure it's in a generally good state. The water that was standing behind those lots on Middleton, a lot of that has been filled now and graded. That standing water is no longer right behind those lots. It's been pushed away quite a bit, and there's probably still some standing water. It's not nearly as significant. So I'm happy with that in terms of safety for the residents that lived in those houses. And I mean, another thing that's being done for the dust, we've talked to them about applying some dust suppressants to the construction road, the access road. It's a gravel road. So they have been applying water, and we have talked about the application of calcium chloride flake if necessary, which is a more longer term solution than just watering. And then, of course, there's the construction access. There hasn't been any unloading anymore on Pearl Street in front of the occupied houses. They're pulling away far enough before they would unload anything. And as Doug indicated with the previous report, we are working with the developer to negotiate that Phase 3 agreement, which is required to build the bridge. So for providing that secondary access for construction and everything, we actually need that Phase 3 agreement in order for him to build the bridge. So we've already seen a cost estimate for securities on that, and we're working towards getting that agreement signed. And I understand that the developer is interested to build that bridge this year. It would be basically, once we get the agreement together, he can tender to the contractors and get started on it.
Any other questions, concerns? This,
Just,
Councilor?
yeah, just a couple of quick questions. After talking to some of the residents, I made a secondary visit out there, and although you know, as far as the paper debris and all that has been addressed very well, and you know, the topsoil's going in. You had indicated, Kevin, to me that there a very aggressive timeline to finish phase 1. I think you know, the resident may want to hear about when you think that phase 1 would be finished, and they would be moving a lot of construction materials further to the east towards phase 2. And when I visited the site, I can tell you that not on Pearl Street, not on the construction access road, but in the remainder of phase 1, I traveled through there at a very low rate of speed, like 5 kilometers an hour. And even at that, the dust that was being thrown up was significant. That was on a Sunday, I believe. So I don't know if there's anything that can be done. You had mentioned that on a paved road, there's some limitations. But again, you know, that's, there's people living in there. There's weekend traffic, obviously, people going to and from their homes. And again, a considerable dust problem. Don't know if there's anything that can be done there. But, you know, obviously, because they sold out so quickly, things are moving much more quickly, and hopefully we'll be through a lot of these issues very shortly. So,
If I could, Madam Chair. So they are planning on getting a lot of phase 1 sodded in June, and hopefully before too long into July. And then that's going to reduce the tracking. The mud tracking won't be occurring, and therefore there won't be that mud to dry out and create all the dust on those roads. So I mean, there is a bit of a they're working on it, that it will get a lot less dust being generated in there. But another thing I was talking with Saren about is the sweeping that they're doing. I've asked him to confirm and ensure the sweeper's been going on weekends, so he hasn't physically seen it himself, but I've asked for them to make sure they apply water when sweeping. It draws up the dust much better than just running the sweeper, so that'll be a more immediate effect to reduce the dust, is what we're hoping.
Any other questions? Okay, I'll read the motion. Moved by Deputy Mayor Bifalchi, seconded by Councillor Bray. Resolved that the Development Service Section of Coordinated Committee receives the following staff report on the application for lift hole H bylaw submitted by Bay Cliff Homes for Phase 2 of the Villages of Upper Wasaga Plan Subdivision.
Members of the committee, having heard the question, I'll call for the vote. Councillor Belanger,
In favor?
Deputy Mayor Bifalchi,
In favor?
Councillor Bray,
In favor?
Councillor Ego,
In favor?
Mayor Smith,
In favor?
Councillor Stockwell,
In favor.
Chair Smith.
In favor.
Thank you. The motion carries on a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed.
This concludes this portion of Coordinated Committee. We'll take a 5-minute break, try to resume by 11:10.